What is up, everybody? Welcome to Chi TV's Miramichi Weekly News for Friday, December 5th, 2014. We're going to talk some politics, we're going to talk the Pay Center, we're going to talk some Timberwolves, we're going to talk Upper Miramichi plowing again. Let's talk about some provincial funding, let's talk about what's going on in the courts, but first, our top story. The Liberal Party of Canada had their nominating convention for the Miramichi Grand Lake riding last week, which is a very competitive affair between 5 very qualified candidates, with Pat Finnegan ending up the winner after it having to go to a 5th ballot runoff in a system that I will never understand. But the big story going into it was that Keith Vickers, who a lot of people thought may have had the nomination in the bag, had 372 of his delegates deemed ineligible because he photocopied the individually numbered forms. So his delegates were thrown out. They were unable to vote for him or any other candidate. So here's the thing that bothers me about this story, is that since the convention, Vickers and another candidate, John McKay, have been very vocal and have applied to the Liberal Party of Canada to have the nomination convention, restarted and done over. But I want Vickers to apologize, because he's complained and saying the system is wrong and these people should have been allowed to vote, and that's great and true. They signed up, they paid their money, they didn't do anything wrong. But Vickers needs to step up and apologize and say, listen, I screwed up, I'm sorry. You can't just bitch and complain when it's your fault. You have to take some sense of ownership of this. For the Liberal Party of Canada, they have not commented on the matter, and I'm not sure where it goes from here, but if anything does develop on the situation, I'm sure we'll talk about it on a future episode of the Weekly News. The Miramichi Pay Center has finally reached its full initial capacity of 550 employees, as the final 207 people were hired and started at the Pay Center this week. Conservative MP Tilly O'Neill Gordon was at the Pay Center on Thursday to announce that the Pay Center has reached its full complement of employees, and that construction of the new building, which will be located on the north end of the south end of the exhibition grounds in Chatham, is back on track, which by my calculations means it should be done sometime in June of 2037. They also announced that a community college program, which will be a partnership between 4 different community colleges, will start in September 2015 to train future payroll and Pay Center employees. And Monday, December 8th, marks the by-elections in New Brunswick. Now, Miramichi is going to be having a by-election to fill one councillor spot. There's 4 possible candidates to choose from: Joan Medor, Tony Bucket Walsh, Bill Treadwell, and Angela Siddhartha. Make sure you get out to the polls and vote, following the instructions on your voter information card. And if you don't vote, don't complain to me. And also, it was just announced today that Miramichi is going to be getting a huge bump in their provincial funding. Now, this is the provincial grant that the province of New Brunswick spreads around to all the communities. Miramichi actually got the biggest increase of any community in the province. They will receive $5.6 million of provincial funding in the 2015 year, which is a $1.5 million increase over this year. Now, here's hoping that the City Council will actually use this money to improve the firefighter situation in the city, which I'm not going to get into because I'm going to try to keep this show under a half hour. And following up on a story last week about Upper Miramichi Mayor Douglas Munn accusing the Liberal government of playing politics with his plowing, the Liberal Transportation Minister has blamed the Conservative government, the previous Conservative government, for the lapses in plowing services in the region. He says that only 2 of the 7 trucks at the Doketown Plowing Depot, which services the Upper Miramichi area, are currently functional because the Conservatives cut $9 million from the public transportation budget for this year, which is what the money they're using for improvements and staffing for this calendar year. And what they are saying is that the problems on the other 5 plows cannot be fixed as there are currently no funds available. For the Liberal government's part, they have arranged a meeting between Upper Miramichi Mayor Douglas Munn and District Engineer Andy Legier sometime next week to discuss the situation. And moving on to our Miramichi Timberwolves report. The Timberwolves currently are 20th in the Canadian Junior A hockey rankings. They have a 16-6-0-1 record, which is good for 33 points, and second in the Roger Meek division. Saturday, they suffered their first defeat of any kind at the Miramichi Civic Center, losing 4-3 in a shootout to Summerside, dropping their home record to 10-0-1. Miramichi has a pair of home games this weekend. Tonight they take on the 1-23 St. Stephen Aces, and tomorrow they take on the Valley Wildcats. Both games are at 7:30. Moving on to police and court news. A 54-year-old woman was arrested on Highway 11 on Monday with impaired driving charges. RCMP were in the area investigating complaints of reckless driver when the woman crossed the center line, hit the police vehicle, and then ran into another vehicle head-on. Police and RCMP are still looking for any information for an armed robbery that happened at the Route 11 Petro-Canada on November 26. They are looking for any information about an individual 6 feet tall and approximately 160 pounds. If you have any information, please call 1-800-222-TIPS. That's 1-800-222-8477. And also, Miramichi Police Force has issued a reminder for people to stop for pedestrians at crosswalks, that it is illegal to blow through a crosswalk when there is a pedestrian in the crosswalk, and that it will come with a fine of $172.50. The police has received numerous complaints over the past few weeks from people running through crosswalks with lights flashing, and they are going to be cracking down over the next few weeks. And last but not least, folks, I'm going to pick my weekly bone with online idiots who think the manatee is real. Now, folks, the manatee has become famous for their Halloween story where they posted that curfew was going to be at 4:30 for Halloween and that 911 and that people were getting calls about it. They struck again this week when they posted a news story saying that the Magnetic Hills Zoo was looking for foster parents for people to take their animals in for the winter because they could not afford to house the animals in heated areas. Now the Magnetic Hills Zoo had to issue a report saying, no, that's not true. We're not looking, we don't need that. We have everything we need. The reason why this happens, folks, is because people on Facebook and Twitter just share an article based solely on the title. If you actually read the manatee articles, you can see that they're fake. They don't make sense. I mean, they make sense to fake people, but not make sense to regular people. The moral of the story is simple. If everyone was just a little bit smarter online, the world would be such a better place. Well, folks, that's it for this week's episode of Miramichi Weekly News here on Chi TV. Hey guys, if you like what you see, make sure you check out Chi TV online. We've got our website, Twitter account, Facebook right over here, and hey, down over this way somewhere should be a subscribe button to our YouTube page so you know about when we release all our new videos. Peace.